is a certain level of harm that is happening in public schools all over the world today. What we've known as public schooling, traditional schooling, comes from a history, a lineage of painful colonization. Because of this history and where schools grew out of, we see today a tremendous amount of pain and challenges around sending our kids to school, the way our kids are adapting to school, our own personal lived experiences in assimilating in schools and trying to fit and contort ourselves into boxes we were never meant to fit into. I created this space for us to remember what liberated learning is meant to feel like, what learning in general is meant to feel like, how biologically we are wired for learning in relationship, learning in our bodies, learning in relationship to each other and to land in a way that is balanced, in a way that is whole. What we've come to know as normal education today is an extremely toxic and painful patterning that has been put onto us from colonial and oppressive powers. And so now today we get to choose how it is that we want to show up for our children and ourselves. Liberated learning is for parents, is for educators, is for healers, is for organization workers, for those of us who are ready to practice remembering what we inherently knew as children and what has been conditioned out of us, and also help guide the children we know and love today to feel that kind of connection to themselves, to their bodies, to the land, to their lineage, and have that strong sense of purpose, have that strong sense of fulfillment. My own background and experiences comes from being in the classroom. I was an educator for many years, and then I taught teachers, and then I started writing curriculum, and I thought, let me do all the things I'm already doing, but around the topics and the learning I see is really missing in education, the huge gaps that you begin to notice when you are in 5th grade classrooms, 8th grade classrooms, high school classrooms, kindergarten classrooms. There begins to show up some similarities in colonial schooling that have missed really powerful connection points and inspiration points and liberation points for us to lean into. So I got my master's in curriculum and instruction, and I'm really deeply passionate about creating learning experiences that liberate our soul, our bodies, our minds, so that we can show up for ourselves in more alignment with who it is that we desire to be, who it is that we truly are, and continue to move forward and evolve to be the person we came here to become, to do the work in the world that our soul desires. Traditional schooling systems and ones that model similarly have created a normalization of cycles of harm for adults everywhere and also for the children that we know and love. These cycles of harm continue to perpetuate in small and grand ways. Small ways like the microaggressions that happen on the day-to-day, and large ways and patterns like the school-to-prison pipeline we see so horrifically hurt the lives, the children's lives, the lives of Black and brown children everywhere. This is by design. The system is working exactly how it was designed. Public schooling today was born from colonial intention. The design was to, and I quote, kill the Indian, save the man. As someone who knew they were going to be an educator their entire life growing up, when I went into the classroom and started to feel these cycles of harm impacting me and the students I was trying to inspire and teach, I couldn't look away. And so I kept looking at the harm. I kept asking questions about it. Why don't we do anything for the children who are experiencing trauma? And instead of supporting them, we're punishing them. Why don't we do anything for the children who are neurodivergent and need flexible seating, and instead forcing them to sit still and be quiet? Why aren't we doing anything about actually inspiring children to learn about their purpose, learn about their values, learn about what it is that fulfills them? Why do I have to force onto them a curriculum that was written by people that have no idea what it's like to live in this context? As a curious mind that I am, I continue to follow these threads through my master's program, through every year of experience I had in different schools and different capacities working with schools, all the way up to working with teachers and writing curriculum to find a similar through line. These cycles of harm can be disrupted when we choose actions that are liberating, when we choose to repattern and rewire the hard walked paths in our mind, body, soul connection that colonial oppression has put onto us. So I founded Liberated Learning. I started reconnecting to my own lineage. I am Mexican Indigenous, and I hold the lineage of the Raramuri people of Chihuahua, Mexico, in the Copper Canyon. They are known as the world's best long-distance runners and survived colonial conquest by running into the deep depths of the Copper Canyon. This resilience and wisdom lives in my bones and is something that I've reconnected to over the years and begun to really strengthen, because in my own lived experiences, I grew up in Iowa and I was one of 2 other brown kids in my entire elementary school and was heavily assimilated all throughout my undergrad. And so this reconnection process has really allowed all the learnings and the experiences and the curriculum to really click into place. And so now Liberated Learning exists to support parents, educators, healers, organization workers, people who see the system for what it is and are ready to make changes to grow out of it. We know better. Science tells us better. Ancient wisdom tells us better. Our physical bodies tell us better. The fact that burnout is such a prevalent topic and people are talking about it is great hope, because that means we are gaining awareness around what's not working. Our bodies are physically telling us, they're so wise, physically telling us no more. No more. I cannot take any more of this abuse, because what colonial systems teach us is to abuse and ignore our felt sense, to override our needs, to not even listen to our needs. And this is part of Liberated Learning's offering, because we ground everything in our 4 pillars. So we have embodied learning, which is what I was just pointing at, right? The body is so wise. Embodied learning is the recentering and focus of the body in the learning experience, because in traditional schooling models, they focus purely on the mind, which is completely missing the holistic nature of what a human being is. Another pillar is relational ecology. This is the reconnection to relationship as the basis, as the starting point for everything. What colonial schooling missed, we don't need to be in relationship. It's all about competition and hyper-individuality. No. Our 3rd pillar, restorative culture. This is where we look at the harm in the face. We don't avoid it. We don't shoot it away. We look at it in the face so that we can learn from it. It can become our teacher, and we can put in our reps and practice around repair and looking at rupture as a really powerful teaching moment in social emotional learning. And how we begin to exercise these skills of repair, lives in restorative culture. And then our 4th pillar is reciprocal belonging. We recognize and acknowledge our inherent interconnectedness and therefore our inherent belonging on this planet. We all belong here. And no one or system can take that away from us. And because of the lineages we come from, this is a real muscle we have to work. This is a real practice we continuously come back to because of how disconnected we have been from our own source of belonging. So these pillars together, plus many more practices and resources, make up the foundational pedagogy of Liberated Learning, and can support you in many different ways. So welcome into our ecosystem. Take a look around. Feel free to start with the free Learning Spirals Guide. This is a guide to begin to uncolonize the way we see learning. It works for all ages because we all similarly go through these different spirals of learning and revisit different points at different times in our lives. So it's a beautiful way to begin the process of that uncolonization and how we see learning. And if you're ready to dig even deeper and come be in community with me around these learnings, we have our Foundations cohort information in the description below. It's an honor to have found each other. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to continue to know you more and to continue building this community together.